Well, hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Thankful Thursday. So, grab your cup of coffee, or a cup of tea, or a can of soda, and relax, and let's get started. So, I had a 2 or 3 weeks hiatus, maybe. And so I felt like today this was going to be a special video to let you guys know why I was absent for 2 weeks or maybe 3. And I'm going to be very honest from the onset. This video will be very raw. I will make sure Mariana does not edit it because I want you to get the full version of this video. So for 2 weeks, I had contracted COVID. And unlike most people, I knew where I got mine from. I know where I got it from. And it started Sunday. I ended up just normal, nothing. But Wednesday, I started coughing, and it was just kept coughing, like just coughing. And I'm not one that gets sick very easily. And so my daughter said, "Mom, you coughing a lot. Are you sure you don't have COVID?" Because it had been 3 days since the Sunday. And I said, "You know what? I don't know." Wednesday night, we knew I had COVID because my body went into a uphill battle. It started with temperature. I had a temperature of 100.4, and then I started getting chills. Then my body started hurting, and the coughing persisted. That was Wednesday. Thursday, full blown sick. I couldn't even pick my head up off the pillow. It hurt that bad. Literally, to walk from the guest room, which I'm in now, to the guest bathroom, which is across the hall, felt like I walked 10 miles. It was the longest walk, and it hurt every step I made to get to the restroom. And so I had the fever, the chills, body aches. I had absolutely no appetite, nausea, diarrhea, shortness of breath, headaches, no desire to move at all. Matter of fact, 2 nights for sure, we didn't know if I was going to make it. My breath was that shallow. And my best friend came to the house, and she brought me a little care package and also an oxygen monitor to make sure that I was getting enough oxygen. And thank you, Megan, for that. And so that helped me to know, okay, is it bad enough for you to go to hospital yet? And then, of course, I had several of my friends and family calling and checking on me because nobody could be with me. I was in quarantine. And during that time of being in quarantine, in isolation, I got depressed. And I was just so alone, wondering, God, did you leave me too? It was so taxing on my brain. So it was not an easy place for me at all. And like I said, I'm so thankful for my friends and family that will come and drop things off at my door because they could not come in, and just sending me those prayers and those texts and phone calls. It helped me to know, like, we're here. Just know that we love you even though we can't be around you. So that did some good. I remember my mom made a soup for me, and it took me 2 days to eat just a bowl of soup because the appetite wasn't there. And the nausea was there, and I did not want to have to bring it up. So I wasn't eating anything, just didn't like it. And then my stepmom came and she brought some Theraflu for me to take and try to get those hot liquids in, and then some tea. And so that kind of helped a little bit, but not as much. And then, because I don't think there was any one thing in particular that helped me. It was just, for me, COVID was the absolute worst. I do know that COVID hits everybody's bodies different. Some people are asymptomatic and they don't have anything. And some people have very mild cases of it where they just lose taste and smell. And some people have it worse than me. And then some people have lost their lives due to COVID. And I used to hear before I contracted COVID that, oh, that's not real. That's not real. Oh, it's very much real. It is very much real. And I contracted COVID wearing a mask. I had a mask on. I always did wear a mask because I have a compromised immune system. So I had to wear a mask to protect myself and my family. And it didn't help. I still ended up contracting COVID. But I think it's still very much so important to wear your mask, to practice social distance, to wash your hands as often as possible. And when not, where you're not near soap and water, then use the hand sanitizer, the Germ-X. I do 100% recommend that. I can remember one time I was so bad. One of those days, I called my coworker, because we not only coworkers but we're good friends. And I told her, I said, I don't think I'm going to make it through this. It's horrible. And after COVID was over, after the quarantine, and then I went back to work, she was telling other of our friends at work that, oh, she didn't sound good. And, it was not good for me at all. And like I said, I know some people get it and they have nothing. This is my story. But through that, the Bible does say all things work together for the good of them who love the Lord, who are called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. COVID worked for my good in this sense. It allowed me to look at the woman in the mirror. And I'm going to explain that. So one of those nights when I was very depressed, yes, depression did seep in because I was alone. And I couldn't get out of bed, didn't have any strength. I was depressed. And so one of those nights, I decided, let me put on some music. So I started listening to Something Has to Break by Kiara. And I also played Goodness of God, where it says, all my life God has been so good. That became like my two songs that was on repeat. And so I started feeling those songs. And I said, Lord, if you were to call me tonight, would I be ready? And so I know I had to go deeper, beyond the surface, and go into my heart. And I do not like to do that, but I did in that particular time. And I really saw that if he would have came for me that night, I wouldn't have been ready, because I knew I had bitterness in my heart against some people. And so in order for me to be like Jesus, I knew I had to get rid of that bitterness. So then I started praying Psalms 51, the whole chapter, covering myself with it, praying over it. I even put it on my phone and my Bible and let it play so I could get it in my mind. And so I dug deeper and I asked the Lord, please forgive me for having bitterness in my heart against these people. Because I had to come to the realization that in the grand scheme of things, when the Lord calls us home, nothing else would matter. Not the home I live in, as much as it's beautiful and I love it, that won't matter. Not the car I drive, not my career, not my family. I had to even think into relationships, like was I being a good mother? Was I being a good daughter? Was I being a good wife? And then I had to go beyond that. And was I being a good daughter to the Lord? Was I really being his child? And the answer was no, because I had bitterness. And like I told you, this is very raw, because this is my story. And I had to get it out. I had to get it out of me, because I know I do not want to miss heaven. I do not want to miss living with Jesus for eternity. And so that's how COVID worked for my good. That is that's how it did it. I asked the Lord to create in me a clean heart and renew the right spirit within me. And so during that time, once I kept listening to Psalms 51, praying and singing and talking, and just, I could feel myself releasing until I started praying for those individuals. And it's not a lot of people, it's 2 people to be exact. And I started praying for them and saying, Lord, forgive them. And I pray that their soul is right when they're ready to go. That's when I knew I had truly forgiven them. When you can pray for someone and love them, you've forgiven them. And then I had to think, Mary, forgiveness is not about them. It's about you. That made me like, okay, get yourself together, girl. Get it together. Because it's not worth it. It is not worth it. Because when you close your eyes, life will go on for the next person. So I had to get over myself. And not long after that, maybe, I guess it was a week later, in my 14 days, matter of fact, the whole 14 days I was sick. Not one day I was not. The whole 14. And then once the quarantine was over and I got my strength back, and let me be honest with you, even after the 14 days, the cough was still there. The fatigue was still there. That was one thing that stayed on me. That didn't actually go away until week 3. Now I don't have any coughing or fatigue at all. That's when I realized that I got to make it to heaven. I got to make it to heaven. I want to be ready when the Lord calls me home. And so I hope that you guys, during whatever season you're in, take that inward look and see if there be anything that can cause you to miss heaven. It's not an easy task. It's not easy to ask yourself that. Because we like to say, oh, we good. We not like sister so-and-so or brother so-and-so. We all good. And you got to look in that mirror. Because sometimes it can be a speck in your eye. And it was definitely one in my eyes. And that's my experience with COVID. I pray that anyone that is affected by COVID, I pray that God's healing virtue is reached out to you even now. I know there are many who have lost their lives due to COVID. And so it's not a conspiracy. It is very well real. So I pray for the families who have lost loved ones due to COVID. And I pray for the families and the people who are still fighting due to COVID. I pray that God bless you and keep you in his arms. And even if the Lord calls you home and you're ready, well, then go get your rest. Because you'll be healed on the other side of glory anyway. So next week we'll be back to regular programming, but I felt like I had to give you the realness of why I was not filming for 2 weeks. So you got to hear it firsthand from me. So with that being said, I love you all, praying for you all. Pray for me as well. And we'll see you back next week for another episode of Thankful Thursday. Bye-bye.